Your 90-day review was written before your first Monday ended, not the meeting. The meeting will happen, and it will go fine. The decision. There is a file with your name in it and 4 columns beside it, and somebody starts filling those columns in the week you arrive. You already know what a probation period is. This is not that. A probation period is a date on a contract. This is a document you are scored in. On criteria nobody read out to you. Closing on a day nobody will announce. Day 1. You got there early. You wore the jacket. Somebody walked you through a slide deck with the number 90 on it, and the tone was generous. 40 minutes after you left that room, the file opened. You will never see it. You can still write in it, and before this is over, I will show you exactly how. Here's what you think those 90 days are for. You think it is a grace period. Time to learn the systems, meet the team, work out where the real decisions get made. So you do the obvious thing. You read the handbook end to end. You stay late enough to be seen leaving late. You put your hand up for the cross-functional project nobody wants. You say yes to everything, because saying yes is what a new person does. None of that is being measured. They already believe you can do the job. That belief is why you got the offer. No company runs a hiring process for months and then spends 90 days checking whether the resume was true. What gets watched is narrower and much harder to see. How you behave when you do not have the answer. Whether you guess or whether you ask. Whether your questions sound like someone building a map of the place or someone waiting to be handed instructions. Whether the first confusing moment you hit read as steady or read as unsure. You cannot prepare for that. It was never written down. And this is the part that bends the whole thing out of shape. From the outside, those are the same event. You proving you can learn. Someone else reading how you think. One room, one conversation, 2 records being kept. You are only keeping one of them. So why 90, not 60, not a year? Because 90 days is where the price sits. Go find your offer letter. Somewhere past the salary, past the start date, past the paragraph about the laptop, there is a section on what happens if this ends early. Read it. In most of them, a separation inside the first 90 days costs the company nothing beyond the days you already worked. No package, no negotiated exit, nothing. Now look at everything else in your compensation. Your benefits have a waiting period attached. If you were given equity, there is a cliff on it, and the cliff is not in month 3. The match on your retirement account has a date on it too. Every one of those dates sits after the window. Line them up and 90 stops looking like a teaching schedule. It is the last stretch where the company can change its mind for free. After it, ending this costs money, paperwork, and a conversation with somebody in legal. Nobody in that building sat down and decided 3 months was the right amount of time to learn a job. 3 months is the right amount of time to decide about a person, while the exit is still cheap. And once you can see that, you can see the rest of the calendar too. Those dates are not admin. They are a map of when you stop being cheap to remove. 90 days, then the benefits date, then the equity cliff, then the match on the retirement account. Every one of them is a step where getting rid of you costs a little more and your footing gets a little better. People ask how long they should stay somewhere as if the answer is a number. The answer is in the paperwork you already signed. Nobody walks you through it, because walking you through it would mean explaining what the first date is for. There is one more thing compressed inside that window, and it is smaller than it sounds. 90 calendar days is about 64 working days. Take out the first week, which is laptops and logins and nobody expecting anything. Take out the compliance modules. Take out the days your manager is traveling. You land somewhere near 55 days where a person is watching you work and forming a view. 55 days to be read correctly by somebody who has never met you, on criteria they have not described, while you are still learning where the files live. There is a second number, and it never makes it onto the slide. Research on new roles puts the average time to feel fully operational at 6 months. 6 months to be able to do the thing properly. 90 days to be judged on it. Put those two next to each other and the picture changes. At day 90, you barely have work to evaluate. What is being evaluated is a version of you running at a speed you will not hold, showing more initiative than you will sustain, and swallowing doubts you would normally say out loud. Anyone who has hired before can see that version for what it is, a performance. So they do not grade the performance. They grade what it is covering. Right now, you are running back through your first month looking for the moment it went wrong. There is no moment. That is the point. Now the part that does the actual damage. The decision never arrives. There is no meeting where somebody says the words, no form, no rating sitting in a system you can log into. Your 90-day check-in happens, and it runs short. Somebody tells you that you are finding your feet. You walk out of that room lighter than you walked in. The word had already been typed. And because it was never said out loud, there is nothing to respond to. There is no appeal for a verdict that was never delivered. This is why people ask, years later, whether they were lied to. They were not lied to. Nothing was ever said. That is the entire mechanism. What arrives instead is subtraction. The quarterly review happens, and your name is not on the invite. A piece of scope moves to someone already embedded in it. Ashley tells you the shape of the project changed. She does not turn around when she says it. Your title does not move. Your job gets smaller, one quiet reassignment at a time, until the role you accepted and the role you have are two different jobs wearing the same name. People stay in that version of the job for a year, sometimes two, long enough that when they finally leave, it feels like their own decision. And you are about to tell yourself that your manager would have said something, that somebody would have pulled you aside if it were serious. Hold that thought and look at what saying something would cost her. A documented conversation creates a paper trail, a performance plan, a process, a file that legal might read one day. Saying nothing costs her an email you never receive. The silence is not neglect. It is the cheaper option, and it is available to her every single time. That is why the 90 days feel so quiet while you are in them. Nothing is happening to you. That is the thing that is happening to you. That was one mechanism. There are others, and they all run on the same thing. A record you are not keeping. Subscribe. One goes up every week. So what do you do about it? Not work harder. You were already doing that, and it was never the thing being measured. You do 3 things. Together they cost you about 20 minutes spread across 3 months. First, in your first week, you ask 4 questions, and you ask them in one sitting. What do you need me to accomplish in the next 3 months? What do you need me to accomplish in the next year? What does success look like? And how will it be measured? That last one is the whole move. The first 3 sound like enthusiasm. The 4th one forces somebody to say the criteria out loud. The column that was going to be filled in privately now has to be described to your face before anything gets written in it. Most managers have never been asked that question. Some will have to think, and you will watch them build the answer while you sit there. That answer is the measure you were never going to be shown. Second, at the end of month 1, and again at the end of month 2, you send one email. Here is what I picked up. Here is what I delivered. Here is what I am moving to next. Then you ask for feedback in writing. That email is not a status update. It is a record. Go back to the problem. The whole thing runs on there being no documented trail. 2 emails and a trail exists on your side with dates on it. You have not changed what anyone thinks of you. You have made it expensive for them to think it quietly. Third, at day 80, you put a meeting on the calendar yourself. 90-day review, 30 minutes. You send the invite. The verdict lands without appeal because there is no room where an appeal could happen. So you build the room. You do it before day 90, not after, because after day 90 the file is shut and you are negotiating with a decision instead of shaping one. 4 questions, 2 emails, 1 invite. And one more thing, which is what separates the people who move fast from the people who stay exactly where they landed. Find out how your manager is measured. Ashley has a number too. She has a review, a scorecard, and somebody above her reading one line about her performance. Whatever she is graded on is what she is watching for when she watches you. Marcus worked that out in his 2nd week, not by asking her, by listening to which problems made her tense in meetings. Learn her number and you stop guessing at what good looks like in this building. You are reading off the same sheet she is. Go back to day 1. The jacket, the slide with 90 on it, the generous tone. The file 2 floors up still exists. You cannot delete it, and you are never going to be invited to read it. None of those 3 moves guarantees the word comes out the way you want. Some places decide before you sign, and no amount of documentation moves them. What it stops is the other thing. The decision getting made about you from 3 feet away, while you perform readiness for a test nobody ever described. The window closes either way. The only question is whether anything of yours is written inside it before it does. And once you have seen one of these unwritten records, you start noticing the others. The 90-day file is the first one they keep on you. It is not the last one. There is one more room you will never be invited into. Somebody in it says a single sentence about who you are, and everyone at the table nods. That sentence follows you further than any 90-day file. Most people never find out what theirs says. The next video shows you how to read yours and how to write a better one. Watch it now.